Mike Johnston's running for Denver mayor on a long list of accomplishments. Ask Johnston about most topics and he will explain how he personally led on that issue. A closer look at his resume raises some fair questions about whether he's taking credit for difficult successes that were largely led by other people. Here's Marshall Zellinger with that.
I did it in the state Senate, taking on the NRA and winning on gun safety.
The resume for Denver mayoral candidate Mike Johnston is laid out in the Meet Mike section of his website, which includes this. He took on the NRA twice and won. How did you take on the NRA and win?
It always takes 18 votes in the state Senate to pass any bill.
As a state senator, Johnston voted yes on several gun control bills in 2013, including background checks for private gun sales and a ban on magazines that hold more than 15 bullets. However, a previous investigation by 9 News showed that law about magazines is rarely enforced. A new political ad paid for by supporters of Johnston claims he took on the gun lobby, a claim Johnston himself makes repeatedly.
No one believed we could defeat the NRA, and we did.
But about those gun control bills, Johnston was not the prime sponsor on any of them, though he added his name to a few of them as a co-sponsor after they already passed. He did speak on a couple of the bills before they were voted on in the Senate, and when it came time to vote, he supported the bills. Voting yes and talking on the Senate floor, that's taking on the NRA.
I think that being able to take a stand on passing universal background checks in a state that had never done it before, and being able to take a stand on banning high-capacity magazines in a state that had never done it before, and being able to be a part of the coalition, a key vote, a co-sponsor, and a key spokesperson, I think that matters as part of the coalition.
In our interview, he used the term coalition often. It's the use of I, not coalition, that caught the attention of Sarah Thunberg.
My team, together with me, created a playbook.
Thunberg is the former head of COVID-19 testing for the state of Colorado, which brings us to another key part of Johnston's resume, COVID Check Colorado.
Probably the way people would most have seen my leadership is if during the pandemic, if you ever got a COVID test or a COVID vaccine, I built the organization called COVID Check.
COVID Check Colorado set up testing sites for school districts to test students and teachers at the start of the 2020-2021 school year. In November 2020, Johnston and COVID Check signed a contract with the state to have open to the public testing sites paid for by the state. Through this past January, COVID Check provided 1.5 million tests at state testing sites.
What COVID Check Colorado did is wonderful. They were a contractor. They did a relatively simple task that we gave them a playbook for. But he didn't create something whole new and manage it very well. And that does not give him the level of executive function, executive management that being the mayor of Denver requires.
Do you believe Mike Johnston is taking credit for something you should be taking credit for?
I think Mike Johnston is taking credit for a thing that my team should be taking credit for.
COVID Check Colorado sites also existed outside of the agreement with the state.
We were delighted to partner with the state. There were places we did work on our own. There were places we did work with them. But that was an idea that we built and launched at Gary and then partnered with the state to scale.
One other part of Johnston's resume is about universal preschool, which passed the legislature last year. In 2020, a ballot issue to fund universal preschool with higher nicotine taxes passed. With Johnston as CEO, Gary Ventures contributed more than $1 million to help get the funding for universal preschool passed. His resume on his website says he led a campaign to pass universal preschool statewide. When you say you led on that, how did you lead versus the perception that perhaps the governor led on that?
Universal preschool was a broad coalition. There were a lot of people involved in it. The governor was involved, legislators were directly involved, the speaker was involved, and we were involved.
I asked about the governor since he made promises in his State of the State speeches to get universal preschool and kindergarten by the end of his first term. There are more nuanced concerns that I heard from Sarah Thunberg regarding COVID. Those will show up on the web story, which has a little more time and effort to talk about those nuances. But this is really just about when people run for office, and we saw this in Congress in D.C., we got to give a good check of the resume, which sometimes we just take for granted. This resume check doesn't mean everything's, something's wrong. We just want to give it some more in-depth look.
And there's a good number of very informed people who have raised these questions about Mike Johnston's resume. Funny, I didn't see them in your story.
Sarah perhaps went out on a limb. Other people I asked, if you want to give me this information, how come you're not going on the record? And the question I asked that I didn't get a great answer is, do you not want to go on the record in case he wins, you still want to be on his good side? I didn't get a good enough answer for that.
Feels like a smart question. Marshall, thank you.